Welcome back to Untangling Web3.
We've got another great episode for you today, but before that, we'd love it if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel.
It's the best way you can support the two of us and help the channel continue to grow.
And with that said, on with the show.
Welcome to Untangling Web3. Today, we'll be discussing Mark Zuckerberg's vision for the next generation of mobile interfaces. That is what I've got on my face, the smart glasses, the Meta smart glasses generation 2. Jack, you can see them. Am I recording right now? I think I might be. That's one of the features that we're talking about. Should we just go straight into it?
Yeah, I mean, that is the perennial question when you're wearing those is, are you recording me or are you not? It's meant to have a flashing thing, right? If you're recording. I can't see one right now. There we go. Okay, now you're recording. That makes sense. Great, great start. Yeah, so we've obviously you've got this shiny new toy, this flashing now new toy from a few weeks ago. You were in California, was it?
Yeah, I was in San Francisco at the Meta headquarters. Quite a sexy location. I think we did an episode on it just after, where I talked about some of the things that Mark Zuckerberg obviously said on stage, what Meta was planning. Like, it wasn't just about the smart glasses. Actually, I'd say that was, it was fairly a big part, but they were talking about their AI models, the two versions of smart glasses, the ones I've got on my face, which are more kind of traditional glasses with a camera with a bit of intelligence on. Yep. They obviously had the first version out. Then they started talking about their HoloLens, which was the AR version. Bit like this, bit beefier, bit more compute on there, and quite importantly, they had a little augmented reality or a little kind of screen on the side of the glasses where you could get overlays of basically what you'd see on your mobile device, but on the screen itself. Whereas this is kind of the simpler version, definitely the more cost-effective version. And yeah, I've been demoing them and using them now for about 2 weeks or something like that. I think it's the perfect time to kind of really deep dive into them.
Yeah, I guess this is our first product demo. I mean, obviously we talk a lot about Web3 and crypto stuff that we have used in the past. So we've used the products in Web3, but we've never actually interacted in this way with a kind of piece of new hardware. I guess like you're an Oculus guy, right?
I have used the Oculus. I was surprised that was something that came up a lot in the Meta conference as well. They were talking about the Oculus. They were talking about how many users they had. It was like tens of millions, which I wasn't expecting. Yeah. And the many applications that were being built on top of it. Like, one of the things they talked about at that conference was the new software that they're using to support 3D world building with AI prompts. And I'd say most of the attendees were either KOLs looking at the smart glasses, like these have definitely been built for KOLs, like myself, joking, or application builders for Oculus specifically.
Yeah, you've had them for a couple of weeks. I guess today the idea is let's get your first impressions of what they've been like and anything that you've actually used them for, because this is when you first showed me these a few weeks ago when we recorded the last episode. It was interesting, right? You showed me it and I tried them on. You can ask it, hey Meta, what am I looking at? I hope it doesn't pick up my voice, like the classic Siri and everyone's phone goes off. But you showed me it. I tried, asking it to describe what was in front of me. It works to do that, at least in the test case I did. But then we started talking kind of off air, like about what would I actually use this for day to day. And I can think of more things for the kind of more advanced pair of the Meta glasses that you mentioned, right? Like, we were just starting to record this episode, and you botched the intro line a few times, and I was like, well, this is a great example of where that kind of subtle heads-up display HUD, like you get in a game, would help you, read like an auto cue. That'd be really, really cool. But these ones, okay, I guess the main use cases for recording things. Have you found anything interesting to use them for so far?
I think that it has been mostly for taking pictures and recording, definitely. Yep. Like when I said before at the conference, these were, I think, intended for KOLs, so people that are live streaming content and they want to be more involved in the content. They don't want to have like a computing device attached to their hand that they're then seeing the world through and actually blocking that interaction. It definitely lets you concentrate more on what you're doing while you're recording. They're far more seamless than a mobile phone, but way more limited. Obviously, like, this is only the generation 2. Like, we look at how many versions of smartphones we've had, it was never going to be at the same level of interaction, capabilities. But like, in terms of filming, like, it's pretty epic. Like, it's intuitive. Like, it's really easy to just say, hey Meta, start recording. and then boom,
it's
recording.
There we go.
It's as easy as that.
Good. Yeah.
I think that bit is pretty epic. Like the footage is fairly high spec. It's like 3K recording. I think it can support slow-mo. They're saying, well, they're introducing a feature where it can support slow-mo. The pictures are pretty high resolution. It's definitely, I think, built for Instagram style and TikToks, and it's meant for like the kind of the portrait mode stuff, which was interesting. But yeah, the perspective it's pretty great for the recording. On top of all that, I don't use it that much. I think like I am not regularly using it to say, okay, hey Meta, stop recording. Hey Meta, what's the weather like today?
In London.
So no one else can hear it, but it's telling me in London, England is great. I think that
fake.
That kind of stuff right now is not seamless enough to be useful. Like I will still use my phone if I want to have that kind of like feedback. Like I'm not using it. It's basically more intelligent than Siri, less intelligent than ChatGPT. So it's kind of in this weird intermediary phase where I'm not using it to its full extent because it's not as useful and as seamless as I would want for an answer from a question.
Yeah, it's interesting you said more useful than Siri. Because I think I've not been much of a Siri user for a very long time. Like I used it when I was like 14 and it first came out, and it was a novelty, and then it kind of just felt like it got in the way. And obviously, as we discussed, the troubles that Apple has had integrating Apple Intelligence with OpenAI, with its existing Siri product has not been kind of smooth sailing. And even to this day, like, I gave it another go. I got a new phone recently. I was like, right, I'm going to try and use the features. I'm jumping like 5 models into the future because I had a really old phone. I was like, let's see how Siri's doing these days. And I try and use it for things like, adding a reminder, and it just botches it all the time. So I still find that interface annoying. If you're saying it's better than that and you can kind of do simple things, that's obviously good, because I do like the idea of being able to say things out loud, especially someone who works from home, and I can I'm in a context where I don't feel like, I'm speaking out in public, right? Like, that's the thing I might struggle with, I think, with those glasses.
Talking to yourself. Yeah, there's definitely moments where my partner has come into the room and I've been talking to myself and she's like, you haven't got any headphones on, or I've been listening to music, and like that maybe we're going to some more of the features. I want to like kind of double click on the intelligence side. It's kind of like one of the things that I found interesting is that it can obviously use the camera to get an understanding of context, where I can say, hey Meta, what can you see right now? I see a person sitting in front of a desk with the laptop sitting in front of him, and there's a camera. It's like
start with haiku.
It's impressive that it can take a picture automatically and give you some understanding of that, but it's not at the level where it's useful right now. Like I can imagine that'd be very useful if I was out and about and I'd be like, okay, what's this thing that I'm looking at? Or find me the contact number for this shop. Or I see a problem with my engine. Can you tell me what it is? Like ChatGPT can do those kind of things right now. Most of the LLMs can do that. Whereas this is much simpler when it comes to understanding the picture-aware context. So I think it's so close to being really useful where, a thing with ChatGPT is it's quite hard to get the picture in there. It's not super seamless. Like there's effort involved in giving it kind of context of what you are seeing, and this takes away that. But it's not intelligent enough to actually do things with that right now. Like the things that it can answer based on a picture are so simple that no one would ever need them answering, because I already know those things. I know there's a guy in front of me with a laptop, right? It's like it's so.
But
close
now
I'm
not a robot.
Now I know you're not a robot. I didn't confirm that, but now I know you're not a robot. So like, I can see that they're laying the groundwork, and it should be a fairly simple fix to just improve the model because the hardware is there. So like that is a really cool thing, that it does make it easy to understand what's going on in front of you, but it's not advanced enough now to be useful. But I'm sure that's what they're focusing on now.
Okay, well, digging into the model, I want to know, like, just then when you asked it, what's in front of you. So you've got the input, the context, which is the field of vision or field of view of the glasses themselves, what you're looking at, what your kind of orientation is. Then what is the model actually behind that response that you got, saying, there's a guy in front of you in a podcast studio? What's the model behind that, and where is it generating that response? Is it like you're sending out a request to Meta's, is it Llama? Meta's,
so they're using,
I think they're using,
so like that's what another interesting thing, and probably one of the downsides is this doesn't work independently. Like I don't think it has an interface to connect to the internet or have its own model on there. You have to download the app and be connected via Bluetooth on your actual mobile device.
Right.
So it's kind of like, right now, obviously the goal here is to replace mobile phones with this as the hardware. But right now it's kind of fitting along them because they're completely dependent on having a mobile phone to actually run any of the intelligent inference, LLM stuff.
But to be fair to them, that's like, I think that's, if you want to be critical of, this is just an AI fad product, then that is one of the things you point to. But I would then say, well, I've got an Apple Watch on my wrist, and that is entirely dependent, more or less, for most of what it can do on having my phone nearby, my iPhone nearby. And I've had that like 6-7 years with that kind of being the deal in place. Like I'm not paying for a separate 3G subscription for my phone because it's for my watch, because that's kind of crazy. So I think that's an acceptable trade-off, I think, for a lot of consumers, right?
But then the business model for Apple is to have both devices because then you pay twice as much, where the business model for Meta is definitely to try and replace phones because they don't make any money from Apple.
Yes, so it's counterintuitive right now, a little bit.
Yeah, but they want to get it out there, right? It's like saying it would have taken 2 years to build a fully fledged phone in your lens, but it would take 1 year to just supplement a phone with the smart functionality on a pair of glasses. So I understand why they're doing it. They want to get things out quite quickly, but it is kind of lacking right now in that I have to kind of have my phone on, like I have to have 2 devices rather than 1. The whole point is to be more seamless than a phone. Why do I also want to have the phone as well? So that side, they are using Llama 4. Like I say, it's somewhat limited. They've got a whole app in it. They're quite clearly trying to build an ecosystem around that, and you can do things in the app that you can typically do with ChatGPT. So I have been playing around with Llama 4 in Meta more because of that, because I've been in the app and like, oh, look at all these cool things you can do. So it's kind of like smart in that sense. I think the big limitations for me are, one is the context intelligence, like being able to tell me more. Like it can do that. I'm surprised it's not doing it. Like if I sent an image to ChatGPT, it would give me much more detail on that image right now. It's obviously just a bit more expensive and probably takes a bit longer and all this kind of stuff. The other thing is it doesn't live stream context. So you can only take a single picture and it gives you a feedback. It takes some time back and forth. But you're imagining a world where I'm just live streaming. It's just telling me like how to do things. Like imagine, I think the example they gave, which wasn't there yet and I thought it would be, was cooking. You're cooking in the kitchen, it's recording, it's telling you, okay, next chop the asparagus up, don't do it like that, put it in the boiling water, I'll set a timer for 5 minutes. Those kind of use cases I think would really be killer.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting because I did have a different view of maybe how these are working. And I think it's partly because with, obviously you're at the event, so probably things are a bit clearer because, you're seeing presentations and all the information kind of.
None of the demos worked, by the way. So these demos didn't work.
The cooking demo didn't work, right? And I saw that one online. But from someone who's like, I'm not like a big Meta fanboy, if there are any in the world, and I was not going to be one of the customers of these first devices. I think for me, was all melding into one as to which of what capabilities the two, your glasses and the kind of smart glasses have. So I completely assumed that those were doing a kind of live. They were using live context, right, and being able to take context. So you're telling me instead, while you're looking at me right now, nothing's happening with the glasses until you take an action and you say, you want to ask it a question, and then it just takes a snapshot, uses that as your as if you were copy and pasting that into Llama on the desktop. Right?
Exactly, which is, it's not super useful. Like again, like if it was giving really detailed responses, like it'd tell me the model of the camera, tell me the price, how to buy it, and take all those actions, that would actually be pretty cool. But it can't. It's super simplistic right now. And I think they're going to fine tune this over time. Like they've sold like 1 million of these. Like they've sold like less than 100,000, I think, of this generation. But they're expecting to sell many millions, if not tens of millions. So it will get there. I think another big thing on that front is right now there's no way for developers to build on top of the hardware right now. But in the next couple of months, they're planning to release and open up the SDK so applications can start to be built. And I think that it's always the classic way, right? Big companies don't build good applications. They build good hardware, they build good infrastructure because they've got all the resources, but they're not the super innovative, kind of disruptive application builders. So I think once they open this up, we are going to start to see the potential from the hardware being realized by smart application builders. And I think that's what one of my predictions is: the next 3 to 4 months, the applications that we built on this will really be quite cool and quite epic. Today's episode is sponsored by the VeChain Foundation.
Now, we often talk about how emerging technologies like blockchain have the potential to revolutionize sustainability. And VeChain is at the forefront of this green movement with initiatives like BeBetter DAO. Let's take a closer look.
Imagine tracking small actions, like recycling, at low cost, making them valuable assets. These verified records build a massive collective impact, benefiting people through their own actions. Sound a bit complex, but VeChain made it fun. Explore our apps at bebetter.com.
VeChain's goal is to power a new era of sustainable solutions. So if you've got an app idea or just want to earn rewards for small, sustainable actions every day, go check out BeBetterDAO.com to find out more. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, cool. I think that, yeah, you're right. It is always the way. Same with the Apple Vision Pros, right? The suite of applications you can use on there is out of the box is not that impressive. I always use the analogy of when the iPhone came out, everyone was doing the like drinking the milk app, right? Like that's not useful. But then over time, the real innovators out there, yeah, they build the utility, and the original company like your Apple, your Meta, essentially own the platform, and presumably take a cut eventually. That makes sense, the business model.
Some other things that I played around with was the live translation.
Yeah.
Again, at first you're like, wow, that's so cool. So I got my friend who's Argentinian to put them on, and she was translating from English into Spanish. But it's kind of like, how useful is that? Because that's kind of like read-only mode. Like,
well, how does that work? How did because obviously Apple just came out with their AirPod auto translation, and I feel like that's been a big theme in this year of is live translation. So what's the model for how it works?
They've got speakers and speakers, like they're kind of like vibration based speakers.
Yeah, bone conduction.
Bone conduction. It's some bone conduction. I think there's a bit of audio as well. So like most people can't. The losses in terms of like the external audio produced, you couldn't hear that, like most of it anyway. But it's super clear in my ears through vibration. And it's got a pretty decent mic as well, obviously, because I'm doing voice prompts. So the way it works is I will have to go onto the app. So it's a bit manual right now. You have to download the packages and say, this person's going to speak Spanish. I'm going to, want to hear it in English. And as they're speaking Spanish, it will just live dictate into my ear what they're saying. And that sounds kind of cool. But then practically, what can you do with that? You obviously then want to respond as well. So it's kind of only works if, they can understand English but speak Spanish and you know what I mean? So that.
And then it's like you have to both have, do you both have to have the same hardware for it to make a conversation?
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. So I thought at first that, wow, that's epic. But again, not super practical right now. Another one that they kind of demoed at the conference was this conversation focus, where it's like because they can detect you speaking, and because they can like replay that back into my ear, it's kind of like super focus when you're in a crowded area of it can mute the 10 people around you out. But if you're speaking directly to me, it can detect that and re-emphasize what you're saying to give you focus, which again, sounded super cool, but it's not been released yet. So that is maybe something that could be quite useful soon. But yeah. The music is epic. That was one thing I was quite surprised at. You can play music through it and like no one else can hear. So like, hey Meta, play Spotify.
Is that your favorite artist?
It's gonna be really boring for everyone else.
Yeah,
but it's like
loading.
Super loud in my ear, like I can barely hear anything else.
It's playing now.
Yeah, can you hear it?
No. Hang on, stop speaking. Yeah, I mean pretty much nothing.
So right now it's completely buzzing my ears. I can barely hear anything else, which is quite weird.
Yeah, I'm just pretending I didn't say anything.
Like I can't hear what you're saying, but it feels like it kind of gives you this perspective that it's around your ear, like you're wearing like big headphones, which is quite weird.
Kind of like, and it sounds like audio.
When like you have earphones and earbuds, because they're directly in your ear or around your ear, you kind of know that it's quite focused and concentrated to you only. Whereas it's weird you not being able to hear this and me playing this full volume, feeling like I'm in a club or like at a concert or something.
Can I have a go? Can I hear what it sounds like right now? Live demo.
Are you going to hear my weightlifting mix? And it's pretty tragic.
Oh, have I paused it?
Don't know.
Is it because it's a different person?
Say hey Meta. So it does detect when it's not a person. Say hey Meta play.
Hey Meta play.
I don't know if it's going to understand your Welsh accent.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, this is like some Norse Viking music.
This is really boring for everyone else, but
I can see why you'd want to play this silently and not.
It's so weird though, because I can't hear anything that's happening, but when you've got it on, like it is fully really immersive.
Yeah.
It's really freaking loud. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's very impressive.
I think it's easy to poo-poo them because we've obviously we understand what is possible and what is coming. But the most important thing is they're super consumer focused. Like they are. Oh god, it's back on. They are like good-looking glasses. Like most people can't tell that these are smart glasses. Like they're super thin, like they look like normal glasses. Honestly, my other pair of glasses look exactly like this. So that from like a consumer perspective, like a KOL perspective, which is still definitely the target market for this, is epic. Like people love these, and there's so many different versions you can get. I think we're on the other end of the spectrum where we are much more AI tech focused, maybe more aware of what is possible. So we're I personally kind of maybe slightly disappointed because right now I know there's so many applications that could be easily done with this.
Like the art of the possible, and these aren't quite there.
Like if we just had slightly smarter models, slightly more context window where you could record and start to give live feedback, live reasoning to the feed, there'd be so many things you can do with this. Like I am really excited to see all the applications that can be built on this hardware. I think they just need to open it up, give the SDKs to developers, and we're going to see like applications that we didn't think were possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully on board with that kind of perspective that there are going to be really interesting things you can do with this that you couldn't before. Again, I don't want to sound like an Apple fanboy. I'm just much more plugged in with what Apple are doing than anyone else in kind of the tech world. But when the Vision Pro came out, when they demoed the desktop expansion, right? So you can essentially have your Mac sat there, and then the Vision Pro will extend that. Like you've got 4 displays. I was like, oh my God, that is a proper use case, right? Because people you see like, I've got a second display if I like want to go to a coffee shop or somewhere or work from someone's house and they haven't got a second display. I've got to take this with me. I've got to connect it up. It's all bulky. It's horrible, right? If you have that kind of virtual display expansion going on, then I was like, yeah, that's something I'd never thought of.
You pay $4,000 for it, and there's no way you would sit. You personally would sit in a coffee shop and have one of these massive
that's another,
AI
another question, like on the Matrix. But yeah, to your point, like, I agree. Like I think these will look much more impressive 3 or 4 years down the line when we've seen what can we build on them and we've seen what they were the first iteration of. It's always like second, third gen potentially where we'll see the really valuable things from this.
Just like look at the things they're replacing right now. They're replacing cameras, like very expensive in and of themselves. They're replacing earphones and earpods. Like again, like that is another hardware that's been built into this, and it's surprisingly good quality. And eventually they're going to replace the mobile phone as well. I think like the fact that they're combining 3 different hardwares into one, the number of people that wear glasses as well, you're obviously combining into the glasses where I have prescription lenses. So you're combining 4 different items there into one with all the software that can be then built on top of it. That is, I think, in itself a real value prop. And then it's like what new things can be enabled when you have all of that just sitting on someone's face that can be seamlessly used.
I agree, and I hadn't appreciated. Again, I'm learning a lot just you explaining your experience with it, because I hadn't really appreciated the multimodality of them, right? Like being able to do stuff with the vision aspect, but also the audio aspect. Because you're right. That's 2 things to remember rather than one, right? You're not your AirPods and your glasses, just your glasses.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then okay, it's not going to replace my phone camera just yet, but it can stop me from needing to get my phone out all the time to take a photo or something, which makes sense. So like in terms of the quality of the camera, and I want to get into the kind of the boring tech specs, but the things I kind of will always think about when buying consumer goods. So you said they're like 12 megapixel camera,
12 megapixel ultra wide, 3K ultra HD, 60 FPS. So it's like decent quality. Like it's probably what you'd expect from a smartphone maybe 6 years ago, like a top-end smartphone 6 years ago. Not on the level of like flagship models now at all. But again, it's way cheaper as well. Like these are 3.
And we're a long way at the S-curve, right? With cameras on smartphones. I feel like 12 megapixels.
Exactly. Like that's an easy fix for them to do in the next like year to improve the camera. But again, like this is like £360-ish, £370-ish. So to have the AirPods, which are decent quality, like a half decent camera. Obviously, it's not a phone right now because it requires the phone for all the compute, which is going to be a big thing to see if they can push and like make. That's going to be a hard thing to, I think, make micro and to fit into the glasses. Like that would add a lot of weight and a lot of complexity. So I'd be interested to see how well that works. But another thing is the battery. Like they've got 8 hours of battery. That was a big thing for the first gen. I think that was like 2 or 3 hours. So 8 hours of battery. Also, they've got the smart cases, which are down here somewhere, which has got a charger built in, which again, like pretty seamless, and that extends it to 40 hours. But yeah, I think like the big next steps are going to be, one, they need to open up the apps that this can access. So right now, I can't plug it into my calendar. I can't plug it into my emails and all this kind of stuff. So I think you can plug it into some like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, so the meta native applications.
Yeah.
But they can't plug into the wider range of like Apple and Android applications.
Can you do any kind of note taking on it? Like I've been using Granola a lot, and I feel like
Meta. Can you transcribe? Meta?
Meta's gone to sleep.
Hey Meta, can you transcribe?
I can create reminders to save information, but I don't have a traditional note-taking or transcription.
Okay, never mind. It can't. Well, the answer is it can't note take.
Okay.
Really, we should have asked Meta like what it can do and what it can't do. But yeah, it can't do that. I think that'd be another good thing for meetings. Like sat there, it's just recording everything. Like that would be quite useful.
Because that's a case where I think there's a really clear, value add is that you can actually be present in a meeting face to face without having to worry about notes. And I feel like with online meetings post-COVID, we've all kind of found our ways around it, whether we're kind of like scribbling notes or tapping away notes. You're still looking at the camera, sort of, but our attention is divided, but like it's not too bad. And now with AI tools, it's even better. But like if you want to speak to someone in person, you kind of have to take a physical notebook, which is a pain in the ass to take around with you. You take your phone, which is another distraction, and it looks frankly kind of rude.
Creepy.
if you're even if you're making notes, obviously it's not ideal to be doing that if someone's talking to you. But this is a way of taking notes, potentially, like assuming, as I think is fair in the future, like they will open this up to a note-taking feature. Then you can literally be talking to someone, making eye contact and knowing, well, I think it's serious, right? You can make eye contact, actually listen and make notes. Or if you're watching a presentation or a lecture or something, right?
That's the big thing. So I think you could do all of what you just said with a phone, right? I get my phone out, I start recording, I say, okay, I'm going to transcribe this meeting. Actually, I think people would feel more comfortable with that. It's a bit weird when you see some, like the glasses flashing at you and you know it's recording the video. I think the thing you highlight there, something my brain was kind of going on to as well, was it would be really useful, again, when there's visual info coming through. So at a lecture where there's writing on a board or you're brainstorming and things are being like written on the board with audio context, the fact that it has more context, like the audio context and the visual context, and then also doesn't take you out of the picture. Like I could quite easily record what's going on in a lecture and record it all on my phone, but then I'm being taken out of that environment.
Exactly.
I think that's a big mover for it. And like I say, I think we're starting to imagine all the things that are possible. It's kind of getting there. Like we can all see the roadmap. We all know what's going to be possible. The big things will be plug into more applications so it starts to understand what my calendar is, what my day-to-day is, what I like to do, running, supporting all my fitness, all that kind of stuff. The big thing will be more intelligence. So right now, giving more detailed responses to my questions, giving more detailed responses when I ask for what's happening in my environment, the context and that kind of stuff. And also giving live recording context. I think that'll be a big thing to open up new applications. And then the final thing I think is the applications, like enabling builders to build on top of this, because it's a cool idea, nice hardware for now, but it's only going to be realized with lots of applications being built and tested very quickly.
Yeah, I think very, very exciting. I think I'll be honest, I'm feeling a little bit won over now that I've seen them in person twice.
You've heard my playlist as well. I think it was the playlist that
inspired me with a playlist. But now I've seen them in person. Shame about the model, he's not showing them in the best light. But now I've seen them, and like I've actually experienced a few of the different things, and you've explained kind of what you've done. I am feeling a little bit won over. I'm not going to rush out and buy them myself just yet, I think. But yeah, I think I can see very much that there is potential there, and I'm going to be interested to see, because the smart, whatever they're called, the smart versions, the better ones,
the HoloLens version.
The HoloLens. These are slated to come out soon, or they don't have a kind of timeline?
They are out.
They're out already.
I think they're coming out this year. Let me double check.
Okay.
They've been released already. So they're called the Display AR glasses, like very to the point
catchy name.
Super catchy. So they were released at the same time as these. They were $800. They came out September 30th in the US. To be honest,
we probably already said this in the last episode.
I think we did, It's just too many things going on. And they're going to be released in the EU, Canada, early next year. But yeah, again, like I think that I see lots of use cases as well, just like navigation, messaging. Let's see if I buy a pair of those. I don't know. The price tag's a bit heftier. But these things are just going to get smarter, probably cheaper, more intuitive. Like this is just the start. Like this is like the smartphone, iPhone version 1. Like imagine what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years when it starts to catch up with mobile phones. I think it'd be really interesting. The thing I'm most interested to see is what the landscape of mobile devices looks like in 5 to 10 years. Like, will these replace screens? Like, could they replace screens? Like, is that what the future looks like? I don't know.
Or are you just putting a screen in front of your eyes the whole time?
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
That's the question. Like, again, with the HoloLens, all jokes aside, but you do have the kind of what do they call it? The HUD, kind of, the waveguide, right? Where you kind of just can see something. So yeah, it's interesting. Or like replacing our big screen with a very tiny screen that only you can see. Yeah, it's interesting. I just want to kind of maybe to cap off like one tech point as well that you mentioned earlier that was it's new to me that I hadn't really appreciated, and I just want to kind of hammer it home. But so these glasses, you said the visual kind of input and output is essentially a freeze frame of what you're looking at, right? But the audio, it can do live translation on these models, so that can do like a continuous input, right? Context, right? So that's a really nice demonstration of I guess the use of multiple different modalities of AI in one go, the bandwidth or whatever required for using them, right? Because obviously it's much easier to do processing on audio continuously than visual, and also showing that they have different use cases for them, but you're bringing different modalities into a single device that you're going to be forgetting about what modality you're using. Like when you're using 2 years ago, right? ChatGPT versus going on DALL-E, right? Or Midjourney. It's very different. Or you'd be on a different thing if you want to do something with audio. You'd likely use a different application. But I like the fact that they're bringing together these things into a place where you're not thinking about like model selection or app selection to deal with different inputs. It's just there.
Yeah, I mean that's what the smartphone does, right? Like it's an interface for almost everything you want to do and can do, and like they're obviously trying to compete in that space with the added benefit that it can just stream without needing any unnatural interaction or me taking something out and taking me away from the experience. And that is Mark Zuckerberg's and Meta's big bet right now, is the idea of personalized superintelligence, artificial intelligence that is contextually aware. And he thinks that's going to be the big mover, the big advantage over things like ChatGPT, where the understanding of ChatGPT is super limited to what you type in to that prompt, right? Over time, obviously, that improves, and as they start to build into applications, that can improve. But Meta's big bet is that having it on a device and capturing more information will give them the advantage when it comes to the next generation of AI.
Cool. Well, on that bombshell, unless there's anything else you want to say about them in review, because I know you're the one with the input today. I haven't used them, but
no, I think that's everything. I think overall, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Like very cool, usable, like doesn't get in the way. Excited for what happens next.
Cool. I'll give them, as an outsider's perspective, maybe a 6 out of 10, and your music taste maybe a 1 or a 2. Okay. Well, on that bombshell, it's been great to learn about the glasses. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and you can catch us next time to untangle a little more Web3.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Untangling Web3.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and to follow us on social media. It really does help us out.
The views we express here are our own and do not reflect the views of our employers.
And with that, we'll see you next time.